What is going on, YouTube-averse? John Stanek from Johnny Radio here, bringing you another Top 5 on this glorious Top 5 Friday, and I'm so excited to be talking to you about 1981, the greatest albums of that year. We're going through the 80s this year, folks, so I'm going 1 year at a time, Top 5 songs of the year, Top 5 albums of the year. This is the albums episode, so let's get right to it. At number 5... Shot of Love by Mr. Bob Dylan, one of my favorite artists of all time, this being the third in his God rock trilogy. He became a Christian in the late 70s, and most of his songs at that time were either very much about that or, thinly veiled, like The Groom Still Waiting at the Altar. If you don't really know what he's singing about, you just think it's a cool rock song with some just out there lyrics. But for me, it's one of the greatest songs of his entire 70s and 80s output. Then Every Grain of Sand is a beautiful song. So it's really, I think, the best out of the trilogy of those three albums, and that's why I had to have it on my list. So that's at number 5. Now at number 4... The Raiders of the Lost Ark soundtrack by John Williams. And yes, I know a lot of you are going to say, didn't you just do a John Williams soundtrack on 1980s episode? Yes, I did Empire Strikes Back, but look, not many people can say, like, I am going to jam out to this soundtrack in a car, which I did back in the 80s with my dad. We would listen to this one in particular. Just forget the Indiana Jones theme, which, I mean, you just know it instantly. One of the most iconic themes of all time. But then you've got songs like The Well of the Souls, which are just haunting and so moving in the map room scene where, that could have been a very boring scene, or the end of the movie when Nazis' faces are melting. It's just like, it's so dramatic, it's so cinematic, and John Williams, one of the greatest conductors / writers of music to film of all time. So I had to have it on this list. That's my number 4. Now at number 3... Private Eyes by Hall & Oates. Daryl Hall and John Oates, man, they just ruled the early 80s when you think about it. Hits off of this album being Private Eyes, of course, which is my favorite song by them, period. Even have a dance for it. I've talked about it on other episodes. And then I Can't Go For That, No Can Do. Man, what a cool, just smooth song. The bass line just makes you want to put your teeth out like, yeah. I just love their music, man. I wish that there was more new Hall & Oates stuff. They did put out a single a few years back, but it's just timeless music that is just beautiful and fun to just kind of groove along to. And yeah, man, gotta have Hall & Oates. So that's my number 3. Now at number 2... Ghost in the Machine by The Police. This is when The Police were really kind of hitting it big in their career. Just hit after hit on this thing. Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic. Of course, the opener, Spirits in the Material World, which when you think about it, is such a weird opening track with the synthesizers that are just kind of off kilter, but it's also got this really cool bass line by Sting that doesn't seem like it would fit, but it all fits perfectly. And it has such a lyrical deepness to it. Beautiful track. And then you got songs like Demolition Man rounding out kind of like a rock and roll. This album has just a little bit of everything in the style of The Police. So gotta have this high on the list. That's at number 2. Now at number 1... My Life in the Bush of Ghosts by Brian Eno and David Byrne from the Talking Heads. What a collaboration by these two. Of course, Eno was the producer of many of the Talking Heads' greatest albums, but them doing this side project couldn't be more fruitful, man. If you've never heard this before, go and listen now, because every song on here, it just has a different flavor of just amazing, ahead of its time, melding of like African rhythms that the two of them were really into at the time, mixing with just kind of futuristic sounds that didn't even exist yet in the studio. These guys, of course, Brian Eno was like a wizard in the studio, even when back in his Roxy Music days. But as a producer, I mean, one of the greatest producers of all time, produced U2, Coldplay, David Bowie, the list goes on. And then, of course, David Byrne, such a genius. And there's no Byrne vocals to be found on this thing. It's all just instrumentals mixed in with some things that they would see on the news and edit into it, like on songs like Mea Culpa, and then songs like Regiment with that awesome bass groove, one of my favorite songs off the record. Everything has a little bit of a different vibe. Of course, there's weird stuff like the Jezebel Spirit, which has like this preacher like saying this crazy stuff, and you just really I don't know how else. It's groundbreaking. And it still feels groundbreaking today, which is why I had to have it at my number one. It's just an amazing album that not many people know about, but if you haven't checked it out, please do. And let me know in the comments below, guys, what do you think of my top 5? I know a lot of you are going to be upset with me because I didn't put Moving Pictures by Rush on my list. Not a huge Rush fan, but definitely see why a lot of you love that record, especially Tom Sawyer. I mean, come on. And then another one that almost made my list was Songs in the Attic by Billy Joel, a great kind of compilation of songs that he had at that time. A lot of great stuff in 81. So hard to whittle it down, but that's my top 5, guys. Let me know what you think. Leave me your top 5 in the comments below. Give me a top 10 if you're so bold. And guys, top 5s every Friday, album reviews, so much more. Thank you for watching. And as always, Viva La Vinyl. So guys, thanks so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and be sure to ring the bell for notifications so you can always see great quality content like you're seeing on the screen right now. Thank you so much for supporting Johnny Radio, and I'll see you soon.